He is a man consumed by work anxiety. Before every shift, he has to sneak a large glass of hard liquor just to calm his nerves. He gets so lost in his own thoughts while smoking that he doesn't even hear passersby trying to strike up a conversation. This man, Bill, has been flying for work for over 10 years, yet he still worries about accidents every time he travels. Habitually, he scans every passenger in the waiting area, looking for anything suspicious. The flight crew seems to know him well. Even though he orders a cocktail just like the female passenger next to him, the flight attendant brings him a bottle of water instead. Strangely, Bill doesn't get angry. He's used to it. This reaction, however, makes the woman sitting next to him suspicious of his identity. This is a flight to London, a 6-hour journey. The plane has 2 cabins and is packed with passengers. As the plane flies smoothly into the night, most people drift off to sleep, but Bill, due to the nature of his job, must stay awake. Bored, he walks into the lavatory, tapes over the smoke detector with tape he carries, and unpacks his equipment. It turns out he's carrying a gun. Bill is a federal air marshal, which explains how he bypassed standard security. Always in a state of high tension, perhaps sneaking a cigarette in this tiny restroom is the only moment he truly feels relaxed. Back in his seat, drowsiness hits him, but the sudden sound of a text message snaps him awake. At 30,000 feet, only air marshals can access the secure network. Receiving a message is highly irregular without an emergency. Bill checks his phone and sees a greeting from a stranger. He warns the sender that hacking this network is a federal offense. The stranger counters, telling Bill that smoking on a plane is also against the law. Bill freezes. He looks around, trying to spot a prankster, but the passengers are sleeping quietly. The only person awake is a young man playing video games. Bill stands up and walks to the center work area, looking into the second cabin, but he doesn't notice anything unusual among the passengers. Soon after, the mysterious person sends a new message, telling Bill to set the alarm on his watch for 20 minutes later, because 20 minutes later he will kill someone on the plane. The situation Bill feared most has arrived. He replies, asking what the sender wants. The stranger demands $150 million and sends a bank account number for the transfer. Bill almost laughs. He is just a simple air marshal. He doesn't have that kind of money, but the stranger doesn't care. He tells Bill to have a drink and figure it out. Seeing Bill hesitate, the stranger threatens him again. Confirm the transfer within 20 minutes or someone will die every 20 minutes. Bill pulls back his sleeve and sets a 20-minute countdown on his watch. He walks to the rear cabin and signals his partner Jack with a look. Jack catches the hint and follows Bill to the rear galley. As soon as Jack walks in, Bill sternly asks why he's playing such a joke. Bill assumes Jack is behind the prank. Seeing Jack look completely confused, Bill shows him the text messages. Jack immediately denies sending them and hands over his own phone for inspection. Bill checks it and finds nothing. He was wrong about Jack. Jack reads the messages and thinks it's just a hoax, believing there's no need to panic an entire international flight over a few boring texts. He even wonders if Bill has had too much to drink again, but Bill insists on reporting this to Captain McMillan. Captain McMillan hears the full story. Bill asks the captain to have the TSA investigate the account holder while he plans to catch the suspect in the remaining 10 minutes. Bill asks flight attendant Nancy to take him to the monitor screens. These screens cover both cabins, and Bill hopes Nancy can help spot the suspect. But one person isn't enough, and Bill doesn't know the other crew members well. He looks at his own seat. The woman next to him, Jen, has been sitting there since boarding. To Bill, she is currently the most trustworthy person. He brings Jen over and asks her to work with Nancy to help him. He gives each of the women a pen and tells them to mark anyone who looks down at their phone while he communicates with the suspect via text. Bill takes out his phone and continues chatting with the criminal. Jen and Nancy start marking circles on the screen, highlighting anyone using a phone. Jen repeatedly marks Jack's location because he keeps using his device. Bill initially tells Jen it's not him, but Jack persists on his phone. Furthermore, the messages Bill receives are becoming increasingly personal. The suspect knows Bill has a daughter and knows about his drinking problem, details only someone close to him would know. Watching Jack use his phone and then hastily leave his seat, Bill chases after him. Just as Jack is about to close the lavatory door, Bill catches up. He demands Jack hand over the phone, but Jack mistakenly thinks Bill wants a cut of some money he's making. Jack pretends to hand over the phone, then suddenly attacks. The two men engage in a fierce close-quarters brawl in the narrow restroom. During the fight, Jack hits the faucet and his phone falls into the sink, quickly becoming submerged. Bill puts Jack in a chokehold. Fighting for his life, Jack grabs his gun from the floor and slowly aims it at Bill's head. Bill yells at Jack to stop, but the gun continues to turn toward him. In this critical moment, to save his own life, Bill tightens his grip and neutralizes Jack. Suddenly, the watch alarm rings. The 20 minutes are up. Bill has caught the suspect within the time limit, but the man is dead. He retrieves the phone Jack dropped in the sink. Bill leaves the lavatory, locking it from the outside. Just as he prepares to return to his seat, he freezes. He receives another text. It turns out Bill got the wrong man. The mysterious person set them up to make the two air marshals turn on each other, while the real suspect is still on the plane. The mysterious figure announces a new 20-minute countdown that will continue until the funds are received. Captain McMillan finds Bill and delivers some devastating news. The bank account Bill asked him to investigate actually belongs to Bill himself. When McMillan asks if anyone has died in the last 20 minutes, Bill chooses to lie. McMillan believes that all of this may have been staged by Bill himself. He confiscates Bill's badge and gun and orders him to sit quietly in his seat. Bill tries to check Jack's phone for clues, but it won't turn on. Jen, who has been standing outside listening in, suddenly snatches the phone. She's dealt with water-damaged phones many times before, and after just a bit of fiddling, she actually manages to turn it on. Checking the chat history, Bill realizes Jack was also contacted by the mysterious person. The mysterious person knew Jack was hiding something in his briefcase. Bill finds Jack's briefcase in the overhead compartment. Back in the lavatory, he retrieves the key from Jack's body and opens the case. He is shocked to find it full of illegal contraband. This is something Bill never expected, but Jack's death cannot be hidden forever. He decides to tell Nancy, whom he trusts. However, Nancy reacts violently upon seeing Jack's body. Bill has to cover her mouth to stop her from screaming. He tells Nancy to calm down, explaining that everything is a massive setup. It was the mysterious person who deliberately framed him, trying to make it look like the two air marshals were extorting a huge sum of money and then turned on each other. Nancy has known Bill for years and knows he is a man of integrity. Seeing the sincerity in his eyes, she chooses to believe him. Now, only 13 minutes remain in the second round. Bill must find the suspect before the countdown ends, or someone else will die. With Nancy's assistance, Bill orders all passengers to place their hands on the seatbacks in front of them. He proceeds to spot-check the luggage and personal belongings of select passengers. He checks the passengers Nancy and Jen marked on the screen. Among them are Nasir, a doctor wearing a hat, Wheeler, a bankrupt lawyer in a suit, and a tall, lanky man named Austin, who turns out to be a police officer from New York. Of course, not everyone is willing to cooperate with Bill's search. A young man in sunglasses swears and refuses to be checked, forcing Bill to lock his arm and pin him to the seat. However, loud and obnoxious people like this are rarely the masterminds. Real criminals prefer to keep a low profile. Sure enough, when Bill checks the young man's phone, it's full of voyeuristic photos, not terrorist plots. After the round of checks, Bill receives another text from the mystery person asking if he can end this boring game, clearly mocking Bill's futile efforts. Looking at the cabin full of passengers, Bill is momentarily out of options. Suddenly, he spots a familiar face, the passerby who chatted him up while smoking outside the airport. He remembers this man claiming he was flying to Amsterdam, yet this plane is headed for London. Bill yanks this suspicious man, Tom, out of his seat and demands to know why he lied to a stranger for no reason. Under Bill's pressure, Tom finally admits that someone paid him $100 to strike up a conversation with Bill. Bill drags him into the aisle, demanding he point out who paid him. But after walking around, Tom fails to identify anyone. With no other choice, Bill temporarily ties Tom up in the last row. By now, less than a minute remains. Time is running out. Bill pulls out his gun and stands ready at the back of the plane. He scans the entire cabin, waiting to arrest the mysterious person the moment they make a move. But then another message comes in. The mysterious person mocks him again, saying he never claimed the person to be killed had to be a passenger. Bill's eyes immediately land on the flight attendant, Nancy. His heart sinks, and he rushes toward her. Halfway there, the plane suddenly shakes violently. Both Bill and Nancy are thrown high into the cabin ceiling before crashing back down. Bill's gun flies from his hand and lands at Travis's feet. Travis immediately kicks the gun back to Bill, instantly clearing his name. Nancy is unhurt, but such violent turbulence means something has happened in the cockpit. They rush to the cockpit, only to realize things have gone terribly wrong. The captain is in critical condition. He suddenly collapsed onto the yoke, causing the plane's erratic movement. Bill rushes back to the cabin to find Dr. Nasir and get him to the cockpit to help. But at this moment, Austin, the New York cop, loses his patience. He loudly demands an explanation for the chaos and the violent shaking. Unexpectedly, Bill subdues Austin with a single move, ordering him to sit back down. They may be colleagues, but this plane is Bill's jurisdiction. When Bill returns to the cockpit, the captain is dead. This is the second victim. Another message arrives. The third round begins with a new 20-minute countdown. Dr. Nasir examines the body and finds the captain died from an allergic reaction caused by poisoning. But the captain hadn't left the cockpit since seeing Bill. How he was poisoned remains a baffling mystery. Bill retrieves his weapon, instructs the co-pilot Kyle to lock the cockpit door, and returns to the cabin. Jen is currently chatting with a man named Zach. Bill learns through introductions that Zach is a smartphone programmer. Prompted by a hint from Jen, Bill gets an idea. He asks Zach how to locate a lost phone that is on silent mode. Zach says the method is simple but illegal. Just upload a virus to the device. Bill hands his phone to Zach and asks him to locate the mysterious person's phone. While waiting, Bill doesn't stay idle. He herds all passengers from the second cabin into the first to make it easier to identify the culprit. This sparks outrage. Panic spreads as the passengers grow increasingly terrified and confused. Just as the crowd is about to explode, Bill shouts, "Free flights!" He speaks on behalf of the airline, promising everyone a year of free international travel. This finally silences the room, and everyone quietly returns to their seats. But as he goes to retrieve the phone from Zach, a secret plan against him is brewing. Austin Wheeler and a few others are fed up with Bill's tyranny. They believe the promise of free flights is just more of his nonsense and decide to take action. Bill returns with the hacked phone. He orders everyone to raise their hands, then presses the send button. He stands in the middle of the aisle waiting for a ringtone. Suddenly, a ringtone rings out from behind. Wheeler, looking completely bewildered, pulls a phone from his pocket, but it isn't his. Bill ignores his explanations and drags him to the rear galley. But just as Bill prepares to interrogate him, Wheeler starts gasping. He foams at the mouth and collapses, dead. The third victim has fallen. Bill is at a total loss. He wanted to find the criminal and stop the killing, but he has failed again and again. Frustrated, he retreats to the lavatory to smoke a cigarette. As he smokes, he notices something odd. The smoke is being sucked into the paper towel dispenser. He rips open the panel and discovers a hole. This hole leads directly to the pilot's seat in the cockpit. In the trash bin, he finds a discarded dart. Someone used a blowgun to kill the captain through this hole. Bill searches Wheeler's body and, sure enough, finds a small, inconspicuous poison needle hidden near his chest. Wheeler was murdered. Besides the dart, Bill finds the suspect's phone on Wheeler, but it is locked. Jen tries to unlock it, but the phone suddenly activates itself. The killer has planted a bomb on the plane. A 30-minute countdown begins. Simultaneously, every screen on the plane switches to a news broadcast. The report details Bill's history, revealing his daughter died at 8, after which he became an alcoholic and mentally unstable. The news frames the event as a hijacking orchestrated by Bill to exact revenge on society. The passengers look at Bill with horror, but he has no time to explain. He realizes the most likely hiding place for the bomb. He runs back to the lavatory where Jack's body is stored. He slices open the packages of contraband, and sure enough, he finds the ticking time bomb inside. Bill exits the lavatory to an eerie silence. Suddenly, several men tackle him. Bill is a skilled fighter and fends off the group, even breaking Austin's nose. But Austin fights on, wrapping a cord around Bill's neck. Others pile on, pinning Bill to the floor. Bill begs them to check the lavatory. There is a body and a bomb inside, but no one believes him. Suddenly, a gun points at the crowd. It's Tom, holding the weapon Bill dropped earlier. He orders everyone to let Bill go. Freed, Bill tries to take his gun back, but Tom refuses. Instead, he demands Bill explain exactly what is going on. Realizing there is no point in hiding the truth, Bill explains the entire situation from beginning to end. He admits to everyone that he is an alcoholic and was a bad father who didn't spend enough time with his daughter. But he is not a bad person. He is still a good cop, and he wants to save this plane and everyone on board. Moved by his honesty, Tom hands the gun back. The others start to believe him too. With 13 minutes left until detonation, Bill prepares for the worst. He wedges the bomb against the rear door handle and orders the passengers to pile all their luggage on top of it to direct the blast outward. He also needs the plane to descend to 8,000 feet to equalize the pressure, giving them a slim chance of survival. Although success isn't guaranteed, everyone unites, working together to stack the bags. Austin makes peace with Bill and shakes his hand. Bill also hands Austin a gun, since Austin is a righteous law enforcement officer as well. Bill rushes to the cockpit and tells co-pilot Kyle his bold and risky plan. He begs Kyle to drop the plane to 8,000 feet right before the explosion. It's the only way anyone survives. Kyle reluctantly agrees. Dr. Nasir asks a confusing question. If the bomb is going to explode anyway, why wait 30 minutes? Bill is stumped. He doesn't know the answer either. As luggage is stacked, a young, unaccompanied girl named Becca hides in fear. Her father was supposed to meet her in London. Seeing her, Bill thinks of his own late daughter. He gives Becca a ribbon he has kept for years, telling her it has magic. He then entrusts her to Jen's care. 4 minutes remain. The cabin phone rings. It's Bill's supervisor. The authorities couldn't handle the pressure. They transferred the $150 million to avoid a catastrophe. But they still believe Bill is the hijacker and beg him to surrender. Bill denies being the criminal, but his boss tells him that a video of him hijacking the passengers has already been posted online. Bill realizes a young man has been filming him with a phone this whole time. He rushes over, grabs the phone, and watches the video. He spots a crucial clue. When he was marching Tom down the aisle to identify the suspect, Tom seemed to deliberately bump into Wheeler. Bill rewinds and watches it again. When he looks up at Tom, Tom suddenly reveals his true colors. He snatches the gun from Austin's waist and takes him hostage. Bill advances steadily. Seeing the hostage is useless, Tom pulls the trigger on Austin's head. Click. The gun is empty. Austin knocks Tom down, furious that Bill gave him an unloaded weapon. Bill yells at him to check the overhead bin for the ammo. Austin frantically searches the bin but finds nothing. The bullets are actually in Zach's hand. Zach suddenly reveals himself, shooting Austin down. While Bill is distracted, Tom stabs him. Finally, the two masterminds reveal themselves completely. Tom's father died on a plane during the 9/11 attacks, fueling his hatred. He recruited his fellow soldier, Zach, for this mission. He wants revenge and is willing to die for it. Zach, however, has different plans. He wants to survive, and he also wants to get his hands on that $150 million. Zach explains the account is a trust fund. Once Bill dies in the explosion, the money will automatically transfer to 100 offshore accounts. He has no intention of dying here. Seeing their conflicting goals, Bill drives a wedge between them. He warns Zach that if the bomb goes off, everyone dies. There's no time for parachutes. He convinces Zach to help stop the countdown. Seeing his partner waver, Tom shoots Zach without hesitation. Tom has completely lost his mind. He wants to drag the entire plane to hell with him. At that moment, Kyle initiates the steep dive as planned. Gravity shifts and people in the aisle begin to float. Debris flies everywhere. Nancy seizes the moment, smashing a heavy buckle into Tom's face, but Tom punches her out. The plane reaches 8,000 feet and everything, including the loose guns, is floating in zero gravity. Bill reacts instantly, grabbing a floating gun and delivering a precise headshot to Tom. The threat is neutralized, but the bomb is still ticking. Bill has just stood up when he hears someone calling him from behind. The earlier shot hadn't killed Zach. Bill rips off a mask, grapples Zach, and throws him to the floor. Seeing the timer hit 0, Bill sprints toward the front. The bomb detonates, blowing a massive hole in the tail. The plane loses its center of gravity and plummets toward the ground. Kyle fights the controls, managing to bring the plane to the nearest runway. The crippled aircraft slams onto the tarmac, skidding on its belly like a giant metal box, sparks flying as the fuselage tears apart. Sitting near the breach, Becca is almost sucked out of the plane. Bill lunges forward, grabbing her and pulling her back from the brink of death. Finally, the plane grinds to a halt. Escape slides deploy and the passengers evacuate safely to the ground. Bill, who was painted as a terrorist by the national media, is now the hero who saved 150 lives. His boss calls to apologize personally. Austin survives and expresses his deep respect for the veteran Air Marshal, hoping their paths cross again. Becca runs to Bill and ties the lucky ribbon around his wrist. For a moment, Bill feels as if his daughter has returned to him. He looks at Jen. Perhaps a new journey in life is just beginning.